I thought it was about time I posted another flint knapping video. I have some really cool bottles, and I'm going to make one of my favorite style points out of this glass here. This glass here is a milk of magnesia bottle. It's that cobalt blue. It's beautiful. That's one of my favorite colors, and Ishi really liked making points out of this color bottle. So I'm going to make an Ishi style point out of this old milk of magnesia bottle, but that's a different video. In this video, I'm going to use this bottle. It says Johnie Walker Scotland on the bottom, and this blue bottle has one of the most expensive blends of Scotch on the market. With the alcohol in it, these bottles sell for between $175 and $450. They come in a silk lined box with a certificate of authenticity, so it's a very expensive and a fine blended Scotch. And the person that gave me this bottle said, "This is a special bottle, make something neat with it." So I'm going to do that. People ask why I'm making arrowheads out of these bottles, and the reason is because not everybody has access to this. This is all volcanic glass or obsidian, and it's pretty much the same material as this, so you can learn how to flint knap with just regular glass from the recycle bin if you don't have access to obsidian. The tools I like to use are an antler billet, an antler tine. I have a elk leg bone pressure flaker and a hammerstone. These are called abo tools, or aboriginal. It's the tools that have been used for thousands of years. Most modern flint knappers like to use copper tools, copper boppers and pressure flakers. You can use either one. I just like to use the old style of tools, and I feel like it actually makes better points when I use these. So I like to use the antler. As always, there's going to be flying glass when you do flint knapping, so wear your safety glasses. This style of arrowhead I'm going to make is called a Hohokam point. It's a really neat, long, skinny, spiky point that has a tapered point down to about halfway, and then just below the halfway mark starts to get these serrations on the bottom of the point. So it's going to be a long, skinny arrowhead that comes from the Hohokam people between 900 and 1100 AD in south central Arizona. It's a really neat culture, and they made some beautiful arrowheads. So we're going to make one now. The first thing I need to do to make this arrowhead is break the bottle, and what I want to do is use these square edges and the flat bottom. We have a nice flat area there. That's a perfect size for making arrowheads, so let's get started. The first thing I want to do is remove these edges and try to have one piece that's in one plane or just flat here. So I'll strike these corners here with the antler and just remove them. That broke perfectly where I wanted it to. I'll keep on working on that side. Great, we got those edges removed. It's nice and flat, and we'll start shaping our point. This will be the base, and it will taper to the tip here. And to do that, I'm just going to continue striking it with the antler. I'm trying to get rid of these square edges by removing flakes. See how that flake kind of traveled up into there? And what I want is an actual sharp pointed edge, not this big square flat edge. So you just pick a corner and start working it up and down. This glass is actually working really well. It's going to be a good bottle for making arrowheads out of. You can see here what I'm doing. I'm just striking flakes along the edge, and they're starting to work into the center of the piece, but I'm more interested in this edge. This is the kind of edge I want to work from. I don't want this big square edge, so continue down the point. Our piece of glass is really starting to take shape. I got the edges worked down to a nice angle where I can start taking flakes off of them. And what I want to do is build platforms. What that means is I want to be rubbing this edge of this point here against a rock to grind down a smooth area that when I strike it, it's strong enough to send a flake into the center of the glass. I have some flakes starting to go into the center, but I need to work a few more. And I did nick myself, so I do have a little blood, but that's just part of flint knapping. You can see those flakes are starting to travel into the center of the piece, and this thing is really starting to take shape here. So this is pretty much to the point where I don't need the antler billet anymore, and I'm going to move to the pressure flaker with the antler and with the leg bone. So what I'm going to be doing is just working along this edge, pushing off flakes, and hopefully getting this thing to shape that we want for the Hohokam point. So I've been removing flakes, and you can see I have a needle tip here that's indicative of the Hohokam style. So just below the halfway point, we want to start doing serrations along the edge, and then have kind of a curved base here that will work in. But the tip is pretty smooth and comes to a really sharp point. So half of this from the top is done, and the bottom half needs these serrations put in there. And this antler tine is good for removing larger flakes, but to do this fine detail work, I'm going to use the ground bone point of the elk leg bone. So I'm going to start adding serrations by picking a little indent there and working it, and then flipping it over like that. And pretty soon we'll see these little sharp edges all along the base. And then we'll also work on rounding out the bottom here. So I'm going to be flint knapping around here until it has a nice crescent shaped base here. Starting to develop a really nice serration there. I'll just continue that up the edge here. So here's my Hohokam point. As you can see, it's got that needle point that is very smooth along here, and then starts to have serrated edges, and then has that nice smooth base. If you want to learn more about this point, I'll put a link in the description below so you can check out more of the history and see some of the originals. But overall, this was a really fun arrowhead to make, and a cool old bottle. So don't get frustrated if you try flint knapping these old bottles and they break. It takes a long time, but it takes practice. I've been doing this for years, and still sometimes break them. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing this video, and if you want to see more flint knapping videos in the future, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.